Hagrid, the actor who played him, and his death. Robbie Coltrane's unexpected death has been the subject of new information, even as the Harry Potter family continues to grieve his loss. According to sources, the 72-year-old actor who played Hagrid died of severe organ failure. The Daily Mirror reported that Coltrane suffered sepsis, a lower respiratory tract infection and heart block before passing away. The death of Coltrane was announced on October 14 by Belinda Wright, his agent. Daniel Radcliffe remarked, "Robbie was one of the funniest individuals I've encountered and used to keep us laughing continuously as youngsters on the set. I've especially fond memories of him keeping our spirits up on Prisoner of Azkaban, when we were all hiding from the torrential rain for hours in Hagrid's hut and he was telling stories and cracking jokes to keep morale up. I feel incredibly lucky that I got to meet and work with him and very sad that he's passed. He was a kind man and a fantastic actor." His sister Annie Ray, his kids Spencer and Alice, and their mother Rona Gemmell are all left behind by Coltrane. Rats, New York, and the new real title holder. The rattiest city in the U.S. is not New York City, whose mayor has vowed open war on rats, despite the city's reputation for housing a teeming population of unpleasant bugs. Pest management firm Orkin claims that Chicago takes the spot. The chain identified the 50 most mice and rat-infested cities based on residential and commercial rodent removal jobs from September 2021 to August 2022. For the 8th year in a row, Chicago leads New York City and Los Angeles in terms of rattiest cities. Last week's updated rankings rearranged the top 10 rattiest cities in 2021. Chicago has been the rat capital for 9 years, according to Orkin. New York City supplanted Los Angeles as America's second dirtiest city in 2022, falling to third. Some cities saw considerable improvements in their positions. For instance, South Bend, Indiana, rose 21 spots to land in the top 50. According to Orkin, the epidemic led to the construction of outdoor dining spaces that rats loved, an English couple, a home renovation, and buried golds. During a renovation job, a couple in England received the surprise of a lifetime when they found a cache of rare coins hidden beneath the kitchen floorboards. The North Yorkshire couple discovered the coins while building on their 18th-century property in 2019, said Gregory Edmund, an auctioneer and British coin specialist at Spink & Son. Who knows why they touched it, but as soon as they did, they saw it was a gold disc with hundreds more below. Edmonds told Today via email, the rare coins, minted from 1610 to 1727, brought in sales of $852,380 compared to an expectation of $231,390. Edmonds said buyers from around the world bid for their 292-year-old treasure coins. The sale was unique in so many ways, he said. The story of the coins, the method of discovery and the rare opportunity to buy them at auction. Nintendo, iOS, and a classic controller. One of the greatest game controllers ever is the Super Nintendo controller, and now that iOS 9.3 has been released, you may utilize the iconic gamepad on your Apple devices. iOS and tvOS 16.1 now support the Nintendo Switch Online Classic controllers, as was first reported by Mac Stories. 4 vintage controllers are now available for the Nintendo Switch. However, they constantly go in and out of supply. All 4 are still featured on the Nintendo Online Store. The 4 controllers on offer are from the Sega Genesis, N64, SNES and NES. Apple's patch notes didn't mention this new function. Steve Troughton-Smith discovered the SNES controller before Mac Stories. In pairing mode, the Super Nintendo controller reportedly appears as SNES controller. It is reasonable to presume that the Genesis and NES controllers would function similarly. This update lets you use any Switch controller on Apple devices. June's iOS update supported Nintendo Switch Joy-Con and Pro controllers. Amazon, a delivery driver, and 3 dogs. An inquiry into the death of an Amazon delivery driver has been opened by authorities in Excelsior Springs, Missouri, after the man was discovered dead with probable dog bite wounds. Around 7 p.m. on Monday, October 24th, officers were summoned to the area after learning that an Amazon delivery truck had been parked in front of a house for a number of hours. Behind a fence near the delivery truck, authorities found the driver's body and 3 dogs. Ray County Sheriff Scott Childers says the owners weren't there. The sheriff accounted, 2 of the 3 dogs ran into the house. As soon as Childers entered the home, the dogs attacked him. A deputy shot one of the dogs. They continued to be aggressive, and I had to kill them, said Childers. The driver's body and 2 dead dogs were removed from the site. Childers says the driver and dogs will have autopsies and necropsies within days. We do not know the cause of death yet, but the Amazon driver did have a substantial amount of damage to his body very similar to that of canine bites, a janitor, a water bottle, and urine. 13 individuals have complained about a Houston janitor urinating in coworkers' water bottles. A female coworker accused Lucio Caterino Diaz, 50, of indecent assault and aggravated assault with a lethal weapon last week. The unidentified woman told Houston ABC that this person is a sick man. She noticed a foul odor in the staff water dispenser in August and began drinking only from home-brought bottles. Last month, the woman discovered her bottle had been tampered with after leaving it half full on her desk, according to Houston NBC. The next day, she stated it tasted and smelled like the employee water dispenser. So she threw away her bottle, bought another, and set up a hidden camera. He pulls out his penis and puts his penis in my bottle. Basically rinses his penis in the water, she told KTRK, describing the video. Diaz told investigators he had a sickness and confessed urinating during questioning. Diaz didn't know how often he urinated in the workers' water, police claimed. Diaz was detained and freed on $75,000 bail.
Thuren, a 94-year-old, and not bathing for more than 60 years. Regional reports state that a 94-year-old Iranian man who hadn't taken a bath in more than 60 years passed away on Sunday, October 23rd. Haji, an Iranian word for an elderly person, was the man's nickname in his neighborhood. He gained the title the world's dirtiest man by refusing to wash for 60 years out of fear of acquiring a sickness from soap and water, according to IRNA via AFP. Haji blamed emotional failures in his upbringing for not washing. Haji, from the southern Iranian region of Fars, washed for the first time a few months ago, according to IRNA BBC. IRNA added that Haji had soot and pus all over his skin as a result of years of not taking a bath. Over the years, pictures of him smoking many cigarettes have been captured. Haji told the Tehran Times in 2014 that porcupine was his favorite dish and that he lived in a hole in a brick shack. Haji had no known relatives, despite what the neighbors said. Iran's media outlets claim that a documentary called The Strange Life of Haji was filmed about his life in 2013.
Apple, the AU, and a new law. Apple said at a Wall Street Journal event on Tuesday that it will convert to USB-C chargers for its next iPhones, a day after EU lawmakers ratified an universal charging standard for all smartphones sold in the region starting in 2024. Greg Joswiak, head of global marketing at Apple, said the company will obviously have to comply with the EU verdict and that we've no alternative. Joswiak hinted the corporation wasn't thrilled to be forced to do so by EU lawmakers, claiming more than 1 billion people use Apple's Lightning chargers. Joswiak added that if Apple had obliged with the EU's first requirement to utilize the unreliable micro-USB charging cord, the Lightning cable and USB-C cable would not have been produced. Joswiak didn't say when he'll switch. The EU's law takes effect in 2024, but most likely the iPhone 15 will have a USB-C charger. All Apple tablets accept USB-C charging since the 10th generation iPad. SNL. Melissa Villaseñor. Mental health. Melissa Villaseñor, one of 8 actors who quit the sketch series after its 47th season, admits she had mental health difficulties. In a Tuesday interview, she said, "It was my decision. In the end, everything came down to my mental health. I experienced a few panic attacks last season. Every week I felt like I was perched precariously. I thought, I don't want to keep torturing myself like that any longer." The first Latina cast member said the show's negativity wasn't why she departed after 6 seasons. "It was just how I handle things," she argued. "I consider myself an introvert. I suppose I tend to shrink when I'm around a lot of outstanding individuals in a large gathering and everyone is talking over each other." Davidson, Mooney, Bryant, McKinnon, Chris Redd, Alex Moffat, and Aristotle Athar left after season 47, causing a major shakeup. SNL Season 48 premiered this month with 4 new cast members. When it was reported that Villaseñor was among a second batch of cast members not returning, she spoke out in September. Indiana, a young boy, and a suitcase. Indiana State Police identified the boy found dead in a suitcase earlier this year. Cairo Amber Jordan of Atlanta, Georgia, was found dead in a suitcase with a Las Vegas design, authorities said in April. A mushroom hunter found the suitcase on April 16 and contacted police. In May, officials said electrolyte imbalance killed Cairo. Police believe viral gastroenteritis caused the electrolyte imbalance. CDC reports vomiting, diarrhea, and dehydration. The boy's blood toxicology was negative. The autopsy found no substantial trauma. Cairo's mother, Dewan Ludi Anderson, 37, is charged with murder, neglect resulting in death, and obstruction of justice. She believed a powerful demonic force lived inside her 5-year-old son. Anderson is a 5'5", 135-pound black woman with short, dark brown hair. She wears wigs and extensions. On the 19th of October, police detained another woman in Cairo's death. Dawn Elaine Coleman, 40, was detained in San Francisco. Coleman and Cairo's ties remain uncertain. Taylor Swift. Her music video, and the backlash. Taylor Swift's anti-hero music video may have been edited after negative reactions. Apple Music removed a controversial moment from Swift's Midnights video that showed the word fad on a scale. Swift's Instagram says the video depicts her nightmare scenarios and intrusive thoughts. Some viewers were upset by a scene in which Swift weighs herself on a scale as her inner critic watches. A close-up of the scale shows the word fat instead of a number. The other Swift looks down and shakes her head. Apple Music no longer cuts to the word, which body positivity advocates deemed fatphobic. Wednesday afternoon, YouTube still had the controversial scene. Swift said in her 2020 documentary Miss Americana that unflattering photos and comments about her figure made her stop eating. The album's popularity hasn't been affected. Billboard reports that Swift's new album sold more than 1.2 million copies in its first 3 days. Midnights has made Swift Spotify's most streamed 24-hour artist.
Thanks for watching Sloppy Seconds, news in 60 seconds or less.